there is a drop down on every field you see. Let's cover one by one that what is this drop down means. So in this one, first is rename, we have covered. Second is copy value, not required. If you want to copy this value like this and you want to paste it somewhere on some other tab, you can always do it. Okay, let me share that. Just one second, I'll show you how it is. So I have copied, I click on this and I click on copy value and I'll go to any sheet, let's say Excel or Word, and I'll paste it over here. I'll simply click on Control V. Can you see the ID has been copied? So whatever right now there is only 100 values. So that's why if you can see only 100 values has been copied. Again, it's not something very useful option, but you should be aware of the options. As we move ahead, I will always tell you which are frequently used and which are least used options. But that does, if I say least use, not frequently used, that doesn't mean we will ignore. I'm just giving, I'll also like we should have that knowledge in case, let's say copy value. Till now, I have been working for 6+ years now on Tableau. Till now, I haven't used this function. I was never required, but I cannot ignore this. It may happen that you might ask to do it. You might require this option. So, but again, there are other ways to copy, export a data that I will follow. And I'll also explain you guys. So you can decide which one you find easy. Okay. So even for example, let's say if I have to, I'm copying this row. So instead of this, let's say if I want to copy this entire data, I can click on, can you see this table? And if you click on the table, you will have this icon over here like this. Just click on this one and you will see the entire page over here. You can see the values over here. And let's say if I want to export this entire database, so I'll simply go to data. I have export data to CSV. The entire database, let's say I've connected to SQL and Oracle. Right now, this is Excel. That's why you can see the file over here. But let's say in when you are working and you are connected to some other database, cloud-based database, and you want to export that data into a CSV format, you can always go to this data, export data to CSV format, and just click on this one. And your database and that particular table will be exported into a CSV format. You know what CSV format is? Comma separated value. That is kind of Excel file. Comma separated value. So now, what is the next option is hide. So hide field is basically used. Let's say I'm working on this workbook, but I think let me first explain you what workbook is difference, because mostly guys can gets confused. If I say workbook, I'm referring to this Tableau practice workbook. This entire thing is a workbook. Understood? When I say workbook, close the workbook, then that means I'm saying to close this. Understood? If I say go to data source, this is the data source pane currently where we are. This is worksheet. Okay, this is the area where we will be. This is your area where you will be creating the worksheets, the views and everything, calculations, using everything, all slice and dice things you will be doing over here. This is the area. This is called worksheet. Once you create a worksheet, you will see this icon. This is called dashboard. Dashboard, this is the one that you will share with your client. Mostly we share dashboard to our client. We can also share worksheet, but this is not the right approach. I'm not saying that you cannot share this, but most of the client, they are not interested in your worksheet, what you are creating, because this is kind of workaround that you have done. Final presentation is this dashboard. A dashboard consists of multiple worksheets. So that we will cover later, but to understand the hierarchy, we need data source, data to create a worksheet, and to create a dashboard, we use multiple worksheets. And once you're done with the worksheet, the third thing is called story. Story is basically, this is a story, and story consists of worksheets and dashboard both. You can add both in this story. So do you understand the hierarchy? Worksheet will be created on the basis of data source. Dashboard will be created on the basis of worksheets, and story is created on the basis of both worksheets and dashboard. It consists of both. Any doubt? So when I say that go close the workbook, or what is your workbook name, anything related to workbook, you understand that I'm talking about the entire Tableau workbook. This is my workbook, entire thing, data source sheet, everything. If I'm talking about worksheet, go to worksheet. You will go to this worksheet. If I say go to sheet 1, sheet 2, so you will go to this, navigate to this. If I say go to data pane, you will go to this data source. If I say go to data pane or data source, you will always go to this. If I say go to dashboard, go to your dashboard. So you will see, go to this. If you will rename a dashboard, let's say any dashboard. So I say go to dashboard 1. So you will go to this, whatever name we do it. If let's say I name it as ABC, I'll say go to the dashboard ABC. So you will navigate to this page. If I say to go to a story, you will go to this story. Okay. But normally this is the Tableau term. But in what happens is when you will start working, so frequently what people will call most of in talking terms, they call the entire thing as dashboard. So sometimes it gets confused. So you should ask them, are you talking about workbook? Let's say somebody will say, I kindly make a change in this in a workbook. There can be multiple dashboards, right? And somebody will say that, okay, rename this dashboard. They might be asking you to rename the workbook, but what they are saying to rename the dashboard. So just check with them. Do you want to rename the workbook or you want to rename the dashboard? Just make sure, because a lot of time happens. If they don't know Tableau, they will call the entire thing as dashboard. But in a workbook, there are different dashboards. Now, next thing is, let's say I'm working, I only need few fields from this data source. Okay, I have worked on, let's say I only need this order, or I don't want this order ID, row ID. I don't require this one. And I don't require, let's say customer ID, for example. These two fields, I don't need it. Or I don't need this one also. Let's say I'll have, I don't require these 5 fields. So what I'll do is I'll select these 5 fields by pressing control button. Press control button and select one by one, and then do a right click on this and click on hide. You see all the fields has got hided, whichever I have selected. Now in case now I want to see it, now you will not find that sheet over here. Can you see? I had an order date, but I don't see the order date over here. It is not filtered. Okay, it's just hided. Difference between hide and filter, right? Hided, it will still have that amount of data. So now what I want is I want to see the data, unhide the data. So just click on show hidden fields. If you click on show hidden field, that means you are able to see it, but it's still not unhided. You are able to see it's grayed out. So now you have to select the required field which you want to unhide. So let's unhide all the fields. I'll click on this and now I'll get unhide option. Just click on unhide and the field is unhided now, all the fields. Now if you go to sheet and just check for order ID, you can find this order ID. Understood? So these are few of the features that hide option is useful. You will frequently come across. What happens is in current scenario, there is limited fields, but when you start working, let's say you're working on a huge data, big data or something related to that. So there will be a lot of columns, maybe 100 of columns, and you hardly require all those columns. If you are, for example, if you're working on a cybersecurity kind of project, in cybersecurity, there are like 200 columns. And you don't require all those. You require only 5 or 10, 15, 16 column. So why to import the unwanted ones? So what you will do is simply hide the unwanted data. Once you are done with the dashboard, so what you can do is in this sheet, if you go to sheet, you can see over here, it says hide all unused field. So whatever field you have used, what this means is whatever field you have used in this dashboard, in this workbook, while creating the worksheet or the dashboard, that will be only shown. Other remaining will be hidden. So it will reduce your work. It will reduce the time that instead of searching, you will have I know that I'll be using only 15, 16 columns. Why should I keep all those 200 columns? So I'll hide all those columns so that it will become easy for me to navigate through one field to another. Understood? Next is create calculated field. Now this is basically used to create some calculation. For example, 1 plus 1. Okay, I can do this calculation. If I click on OK, so what mistake I did is first, not mistake actually, I should always give a name to this calculation. First thing required is to give a name. So I'll say add, for example, add 1 plus 1 like this. And I have clicked on OK. So you will see 1 plus 1 is 2. So you will find 2 everywhere in every field. This is my, and whatever, whenever you create a calculation, it will be denoted with an equal sign. Can you see this equal sign over here? That means this field is created by you. It's not update. It was not available in the database. You have created this field. Understood? And if you want, you can always delete the field. For example, let's say if I want to create one more field, let's say I'll click on create calculated field. This is my order ID. Okay, and this is a string. So now let's say what to do. Say the string, what you will do with a string. There are other calculations with a string. For example, I'll type sum of sales. Okay, or say let's say sales. I want to add 100 in a sale. Okay, sales plus 100. So what I'll do, I'll take sum of sales like this. Okay, plus 100 rupees. I want to add 100 in this. So I'll click on 100. So now if you go, you will see this sales plus 100, right? So now let's take this at the end. Okay, now just check in the worksheet level, it will be easy to see. Now if I put sales over here, let's say subcategory wise, I'll check. I go to subcategory, I put the sales over here, and now the actual sale is this. Now in every sale I have added 100, right? So this is sales actual 167,380. I added 100, so it became 167,480. Let's say if I edit this and if I add 5,000 or 200, anything you can do it. So it will add 200. So this is how the calculation is created, right? And I've shown you how you can create a calculated field. You can do a create calculated field from here or anywhere, and it will be denoted with an equal sign. Understood? So, and there are a lot of things in the calculation. This is calculation is not finished yet. This is just I showed you how to create a calculated field. There are many types of calculations in Tableau. So if you see, there is a list over here. There is number calculation, string calculation, date calculation, type conversion, logical, aggregate, user, table calculations, and special calculation. There are many types of calculation. But if you want to create a calculated field, you need to do it in this way, either from here or the worksheet level. Now the next option is create groups. Now what is group? Group is basically a team of members of the same type, right? Or you create a group of on particular factor, right? So let's say if I want to see let's say whoever scored, I want to create a group of students. Those who are interested in maths, I'll assign them to maths group. Those who are interested in science, I'll assign them to science group. Those who are interested in accounts, I'll assign them to accounts group, right? So this is how we define a group. Understood what group is? It's self-explanatory, right? You also do some grouping, right? When you
Yes.
do let's you say if you want to create, there are if you're playing cricket, then you group them, right? In different
Yes.
teams, right? So that is called group. And let's say if I want to create a group over here, take an example like okay, so let's take this one, product ID as a group. Okay, I'll click on create group. Now I can create a group from here. This is one option, create group, or I can create a group directly from here also on the worksheet level also. I'll just go to this and I'll click on create group. So I have both this option. Now I'll click on create group. So you will find this page. So what is this? First, give a proper name. Always give a name to a field that you have created. Let's say if I say ABC and I click on OK, you will see that the group that you have created, it will be assigned as an equal sign. Or sorry, for group, it will be assigned with a clip. Can you see this clip icon? That means, because this is not a calculation, right? This is a group. So if you see this clip sign, that means it's a group function. It's a group field. Understood? Let's do it. Let's first define the category. Which one I have selected? This one, right? Product ID. So click on create group. Now I'll first name it. I'll name it as, for example, it's already there, office supplies and furniture. So I'll use the same one. Let's say product group, product and group. I'll name it as. So what I'm saying is, wherever there is F, if it starts with FUR, okay. So you can manually do it like this. For example, let's say these all groups you want to group it. Just select those fields and group it. Name it. Let's say FUR like this. This is one way. If you click on this one, it will be grouped. Remaining, I want to make it as others. So now I have created two groups over here. So these all belongs to FUR group and remaining belongs to other. If you want to ungroup them, just click on ungroup and it will be removed. Okay, and uncheck this one. So now everything is ungrouped. This is manually you can select this. Now let's say I want to group them on some logic. So what I do, I'll click on find, and there are three logics over here. Contain, start with, and exact match. So what I'll say, I'll select starts with, and I'll say if it starts with FUR, okay, and I'll say find all. So it will select all fields which starts with FUR. Can you see? Only the FUR values are highlighted, right? Remaining will not be selected. And I'll click on group. And I'll rename it as furniture 1, because I have already this category furniture over here. And I'll click on like this. Now I'll hide this. Remaining, I have office. Again, I'll say office. If it starts with off, okay, and find all, I'll click on group and I'll say office group. And I want to rename this furniture. So I'll select this one and I'll click on rename and I'll say furniture group like this. Now let me minimize this also. Now this is TEC. So let's say I'll say if it starts with TEC, then find all and group them to technology, tech group like this. Now let's see if there is anything left. No. So this is how I have done the grouping. Now I click on OK. Now you can see that there is a group has been created over here, group field at the end, this group. Now let's see it on the worksheet level for a better understanding. So I have this product group, right? On the product ID I have created. So let's first drag this one. Okay. So now this is my group, furniture group, office group, and tech group. Now let's drag the product ID and drop it over here to validate if it is working properly. So now let's me add this as show filter. Now let's cover one by one. If I select furniture group, you will see all the furniture IDs that is starting with FUR is assigned to this group. If I select office, let's uncheck this. All of IDs which start with OFF is assigned to office group. And if I select this tech group, it will have all the values which is starting with TEC. So this is how you can create a group. Understood? Now what is the next option in the drop down? So now let's see over here. This is called bins. What is bins? Bins actually it is a set of numbers that has been created on on an interval assigned by you. So basically, bins is is used to create a histogram chart. If you see a histogram, so what happens is, let's say I create a bin size on this, and bins will be created on integer value. Let's say if this is integer, sorry, this is string. You won't find to create a bin over here. Let me click on this. Can you see? You can't find a bin over here. So bins can be created only on numbers, integer values. So because this is integer, that's why I'm able to. So let's say I'll create a bin over here. I click on bins, and it has taken the size of, so let's say I'll do it as 100, or yeah, 100, I'll keep it. Tableau will do it as automatically, suggest bin size. So Tableau will give you a suggestion, but let's say I want to change it to 100, and I'll click on OK. Now, if when the bin is created, it will be assigned with a histogram icon. So you see this icon, this means that this is a bin. So row bin, it has been created as a row bin. If you want to rename it, you can always click on edit, and you can give a name. You can name it, let's say bin ID. Okay, and I click on OK. Now, what does this bin? With this example, you will understand. If you see, you will find the bin ID over here. If you put it in the rows, so what it has done, can you see 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300? This is the bin size that has been created, like a basket, 0 to 100, 100 to 2. So these are the order IDs. Now, let's say if I select this order ID and I put it over here, I'll say count of order ID, and I'll click on like this. So can you say 0 to 100 is 99, 100, 100. This is the count that I have given, right? So that's why it's showing 100. Now, let's say if I put the profit, or let's put the sales over here. So what is the bin size? How much this order did? So 0 to 100, the sales was 15,941, 0 to 99. Then 99 to 100, it made a sale of 16,412. So like this, you can create a histogram chart. So to create a histogram chart, you would require a bin. So if you click on this show me, you see this is a histogram. So what it says that, if you see below, it has written that to create a histogram chart, you would require one measure, create a bin field. So you would always require a bin field to create a histogram chart. That we will cover later when I'll discuss when we'll discuss other features like measures, dimension. There are a lot of options are there. Till now, any doubt? So you can be asked in an interview that can you create a bin on a string value? So that means you will say no, we cannot create a bin on a string value. Bins can be created only on integer value or measures. What measures is, we will cover later. Now, if you go to the drop down, what is the next option? You'll have describe. It's basically, it will describe you about the field. So what is this? This is the role is discrete dimension. Data, it's a database column. It is coming from what table, what is the name, remote type, all these things. You'll get all information regarding to this and how many members are there. Okay. So this is how you'll see the data. Now every field might have some more options, and some may have less options. Now if you go to this, you see over here, you don't see a split option, but in this one, you will see a split option over here, split and custom split. If you go to date field, you won't see the split option. But let's say if you go to this ship mode, you will see a split option over here, right? And let's say if I go to, let's check one by one. If I go to a geographical role, can I see a split option? Yes, for a geographical role also you can see. But for calendar, but that means date field and string, you are not able to see it. Let's check for these sales. Can we split it? No, right? Because this is also a string value. This is also an integer value. So you cannot split a number or a date field. Okay, understood? So now let's say how the split works. Now let's say this is my value, US, and this order ID, it is a combination of country code followed by year of manufacturing followed by a unique ID, right? Now let's say I want to like divide this particular column into three parts. I want to find, for example, I don't have this value country. Let's say you don't have it. And with this field, I can find a country, right? Like with this order ID, I can find a country and I can also find year, date of manufacturing. So let's say I want to create three different fields: country, year of manufacturing, and my unique ID. So what I'll do, I want to like split this field into three parts. So I'll go to this, simply click on split. When you click on split, Tableau split the field automatically. Okay. So you will find this field has been splitted into three parts. You can go at the end. You can see split 1, split 2, and split 3. So we can rename this, right? Rename it, and we can say that this is country code. And this I can say year of manufacturing. I can say year of manufacture. Okay. And now the third field, this is my unique ID, right? So I can rename it unique order ID. So this is how I can split the field into different parts. Now this Tableau has done it automatically. Now let's say that I don't want to split all the values. I only want to split certain values from here. Like you have your own condition. So you can always select a custom split. When you do a custom split, Tableau will give you an option that you want to split this field on what criteria. You have to give the criteria. So first thing is you have to give a separator. Now let's say in this scenario, it's a hyphen is my separator. So I'll give a hyphen over here because you can see there is hyphen between all these values. Now, which one you want? Do you want the first to split? Like let's say only the first value from this hyphen. So I'll select first. Or let's say if I say 2, let's do one by one. First I'll select 1. Let's see what happens. So if I split 1 from the first, then you will see US has been splitted. Okay. And let's say if I do it 2, now I'll split 2. I'll go to this field again and I click on this and I'll click on split, custom split. Now let's say if I select this one and first 2, I say first 2 and I click on OK. Now let's say what happens. So now US and 2019 will be splitted. You go to this, can you see split US and 2019, right? Because what it has taken these, there are 2 hyphens over here. So before this is first, this is second. So I said that divide whatever field is there before this. So it has divided both the fields, right? Now, if I say, let's say custom split 3, okay. Now hyphen, and if I say 3, what happens? Let's see. Any value, it does not have more than 3. So now let's see how many fields it has divided. Go at the end. Can you see it has splitted it into 3? 1, 2, 3. Over here, 6, 7, 8. So now this is how you can do a custom split. Now delete this. I don't want this. You can always select these fields. And if you create a custom split, you see it is assigned with the equal sign, right? So whenever you do a custom split, let me show you. Tableau does a calculation at the back end. You are not able to see it, but if you want to see it, how it has been done, what is the calculation being used, so you can always go to this, click on edit, and you can say trim. This is a calculation, split order ID and 1. So this is how the calculation has been done. Understood, guys? Any doubt? Actually, see, it's a formula that Tableau has applied in the backend. I have not created this, right? I simply did the custom split, but actually Tableau used some logic There is some logic for every function, right? So that is the logic used for custom split. Even instead of doing a custom split, let's say if I don't, for example, let's take this one. Let's take a unique one. So what is the logic written over here is integer, split, order ID, and I can copy this one. I can copy this, and I can also create a calculated field. Let's say I create a calculated field over here, and I type it new, and I'll do the same thing, and I'll click on OK. So now you will see again a new field has been created. I can also create a calculated field. Simply I can do it. What is the name I have mentioned? I forgot. New, right? New or some, yeah. Can you see over here? So this field will be created. You can also use that logic. But see, instead of writing manually, Tableau has it. If Tableau can do it automatically, why to write a calculation, right? So it's simple. But let's say in case if I have certain requirement, I want to do it in different way, then we will use that calculated field. If you go to a calculation, if you, for example, over here, I'll show you. Let's say if I create a calculated field, you can always see there is a trim function over here. Can you see this trim? There is a trim function. So how to use it, we will cover later. But this is like if you have any special condition that is not available in the custom split, then we can use a trim. Like there is some if conditional based splitting you want to do, then you can use that calculation. Otherwise, for a normal split or for a custom split, we don't require to write a calculated field. We can simply select over here and do a custom split and do the criteria from here. Okay.